Hello, I hope you're all doing very, very well. So exciting news. The Rugby League World Cup draw has been announced. We've already had a taster of some international rugby league fixtures this year with the Pacific Championships and the Ashes series over in England. So I hope you're all looking forward to the World Cup like I am next year in Australia. Um, as you can see, there's only 10 teams involved in next year's competition. Previously, in the previous World Cup over in England, we had 16 teams involved. So Wales, Scotland, Italy, Ireland, and Jamaica miss out in next year's World Cup, which is unfortunate. But I think we've got quality over quantity in next year's World Cup, and we're going to see the best of the best play each other. So we've got all that to look forward to. So Group A, as you can see, we've got Australia playing New Zealand, Cook Islands and Fiji. Group B and Group C is a bit different. So Group B teams will be playing Group C teams in the first 3 rounds. So England will play Tonga, PNG and France. Samoa will play Tonga, PNG and France. And Lebanon will play Tonga, PNG and France also. And then there'll be 2 teams that advance in Group A, and 1 from Group B and 1 from Group C, which will make up the semi-final. Before the semi-final, we have the group stages game. So let's have a chat about Australia first up. They kick off the opening game against the Kiwis in Sydney at Allianz Stadium on October 15th. So that game is going to be absolute cracker. We've got the 2 best teams in the world. We recently saw the Kiwis win the Pacific Championship, so they're definitely going to be a threat to Australia's World Cup title defence. So we all very much look forward to seeing that opening game. Tickets have gone on sale already, so you can grab your tickets starting from $49 on the NRL website. Australia's second game is against Fiji on October 25th. That's being played at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. And Australia's third and final group match will be played up in Queensland at the Country Bank Stadium. They will play the Cook Islands on the 31st of October. So we're really expecting Australia to blow the Cook Islands and Fiji away. Australia's only test will be against the Kiwis, so we expect Australia really to top the group in Group A. The Kiwis campaign, as I said earlier, they will kick off their first match against Australia in Sydney at Allianz. So the Kiwis will have a very, very good test to see where they're at in the opening game. And then the Kiwis, they're going to play in New Zealand. They're going to play their second match in Christchurch on the South Island. So the Kiwis supporters won't have far to travel for that one. That second game is on the 25th of October. And then the Kiwis' third and final group match, that is against Fiji in the Gold Coast at Seabus Stadium on October 31st. And again, I expect the Kiwis to blow away the Cook Islands and Fiji, and then we'll see if New Zealand are any good against Australia in the opening game. So the Cook Islands, they have a very tough group. I'm not really expecting them to win any games, but they kick off their World Cup campaign against Fiji in Newcastle at McDonald's Stadium on October 18th. And then the Cook Islands, they will play New Zealand in Christchurch on the South Islands, and then their third game is against Australia. So I'm expecting a tough campaign for the Cook Islands. If they win one game against Fiji, that will be a great campaign for them. But should be very interesting to see how they get on. Fiji, they're a team that might upset possibly New Zealand or even Australia when they play their games, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, they play their first game against the Cook Islands, and then they play Australia in their second game, and their third game they play the Kiwis. So they'll have to make sure they win the first game against the Cook Islands to give themselves a chance of finishing second in their group. But yeah, it should be very interesting. Guys, let me know if you support Australia, New Zealand, or the Cook Islands or Fiji, and what you think of the draw in Group A. Let's get on to Group B now. So let's have a chat about England, eh? So after a terrible Ashes series over in England, if England do decide to stick with Sean Wayne, it's going to be very interesting to see how the squad is in next year's World Cup. Definitely need to see some changes, I think, ahead of next year's World Cup. So England will kick off their campaign in Perth. So all the Poms here in WA will be excited to go watch England kick off the World Cup campaign against Tonga at HBF Park on October 17th. And then England will stay in Perth for their second game and play France on 24th of October at HBF Park again. England's third and final game in the group stage will be against PNG in Sydney at Wynn Stadium on October 30th. So England, they have it tough. They have a really tough opening game against Tonga. Their game against France, I expect England to win that one. And then their third and final game against PNG, that's going to be a tough one as well. England haven't really done well in the Ashes series, and they're going to struggle, I think, based off the evidence, playing Australia. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how they get on in next year's World Cup. England fans, let me know what you think of the draw. Do you think we're going to win at least 2 games out of the 3 and qualify for the semi-finals? Because I'm not very hopeful at this moment in time, but you never know. A year's long time in rugby league. Also, let me know if you're planning to travel over for the World Cup next year. If any of you English fans are planning to travel over and watch the World Cup, and if you're local here in Perth, also let me know if you're planning on attending any of the games. Also, so Samoa, let's have a chat about them. So they got to the Pacific Championship final and played the Kiwis earlier in this year, the Pacific Championship. So they will be very excited about that draw. I think Samoa are very capable of winning against PNG and France and Tonga, and getting out of Group B is going to be tough for, I think, all of them sides. So Samoa kick off their first game against France at Combank Stadium on 16th of October. So that's a very winnable game for Samoa. And then Samoa will play PNG in Port Moresby at Santos Stadium on the 24th of October. So that will be a tough game. That could be a potential upset for Samoa. So they're going to have to be very, very careful when they go over and play PNG at Port Moresby. And then their third game is against Tonga. So that could be a very, very interesting game. It will definitely be a far encounter when them two teams meet. Obviously, we saw recently Samoa absolutely hammer Tonga in the Pacific Championship. So Tonga will want revenge in next year's World Cup. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how all of the 10 nations get on. Tonga, they had a pretty poor Pacific Championships earlier in the Pacific Championship, so I'm not really expecting them to do too much next year. But Christian Wolf, if he stays on as coach and they get the squad right and the sections right, Tonga can still shock a lot of people. So I'm very interested to see how Tonga respond due to their poor performance in this year's Pacific Championship. As I said earlier, they will play England in Perth in their first game, so that could be a very important clash for both England and Tonga. And then they will play Lebanon, and then their last game against Samoa is at Combank Stadium on the 1st of November. So again, I really can't see Tonga winning 2 games. They definitely will beat Lebanon. No question asked about that, I think. But can they beat Samoa or England? It's going to be the big question mark for Tonga to qualify and get into the semi-finals. The semi-finals, they kick off on the 7th of November. One of the games is going to be played at McDonald's Stadium, and then the second game is going to be played in Sydney at Allianz Stadium on November 7th also. And then the final, that will be played at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane on the 15th of November. So we've got a good couple of weeks of international rugby league for the World Cup to see all the teams play. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the draw, and let me know if you think your team's going to go all the way next year and win the World Cup. That's all for me for the minute. Thanks for your time again, and before I go, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on socials, Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for your time, and I'll chat to you very, very soon.